Hello there. Well, it transpires that a part, about 30%, of a humongous 25,000-tonne illegal waste tip, reputedly the worst in the UK, in Bickershaw, Wigan, is owned by the King's own private estate, the Duchy of Lancaster. Here it is in all its glory, and see how close it is to the people and the houses. Look at that. The houses are just behind in the trees there, and you've got this huge great dump there. An illegal dump. Makes you think, doesn't it? Yeah. How was such an illegal tip allowed to grow to these proportions next to people's houses? I bet no such tip would ever develop on King Charles's organic farm, would it? Apart from the odd compost heap, of course. But under ancient feudal law, the Duchy of Lancaster claims that it has no duty to pay to help clean that huge eyesore and health hazard up. Nope, they don't have to do anything about it. They don't have to pay any money at all to clean it up, despite the Environment Agency saying it is the duty of landowners to clean up all these messes. And this is the illegal tip that suffered a toxic blaze back in December, forcing businesses to close and primary children to miss school. And that fire took 10 days for firefighters to extinguish. And then there's all the rats running around, and the living hell it has made for those living in houses nearby. Maybe the king thinks that rats are living beings too, and have the right to live wherever they want to as well. The local MP for Makersfield, Josh Simons, called the tip a shocking state failure. Well, what do you think, Richard?
Yes, I mean, come on, let's be honest. You know, we're talking about King Charles II here. He has spent decades branding himself as, Britain's greatest environmentalist. Yeah, doing all these like public speeches and stuff and traveling around the world speaking on climate change and, green leadership, that sort of rhetoric, And now we've got this patch of land that he's not wanting to clean it up, it appears. He's not interested in sorting this out. So he's got this tip, effectively, a toxic tip next to houses, next to schools, where his subjects live. What kind of a king is this? What is this man? Look, I know the guy's not well, but I'm sorry, I'm sorry, but, there's lots of us who are not well in this world, okay? Plenty of people who are far more ill than His Majesty, who go about doing the right thing, okay? Well, this is the right thing, Your Majesty. It's not like you have to go and dig the bloody thing out yourself. It's not like you have to get a shovel out and then sort it out yourself. No, Your Majesty, it isn't. Sorry. It just blows my mind, the hypocrisy of this man. Claiming to be this social justice warrior is another word to describe him. I mean, he just seems to have so many causes that he seems to be pro. But he doesn't care, of course, about the indigenous people of this country, and he doesn't care about Christianity. He just favours one specific faith. And there's so much I could say about His Majesty, but no, I'm not going to be tipping my hat to that brain-dead, inbred turd. There's no way. Carry on, Jeff.
Yes, well, so how come the Crown, or the Duchy of Lancaster, says they have no duty to help clean this mess up? Well, interestingly, the property was obtained, I believe, last July by the Duchy under what's called the Law of Escheat. All freehold land or other ownerless property where there's no will or no identifiable heir goes to the Crown. So they take that land if there's no owner. It automatically goes to them. And the Duchy of Lancaster is the hoover of all such assets in the northwest of England. And there is another duchy, the Duchy of Cornwall, controlled by the heir to the throne, the Prince of Wales, Prince William. And these two duchies act as landowners of last resort for properties in England, Wales, and Northern Ireland. Anything, business assets, land, estates, whatever. No heir, no identified landowner. They hoover it up. And these duchies are designed to generate income for the royals. What a surprise. But here's the point. Under Rishit law, the duchy has no duty to take on what it deems as onerous property, i.e. property that it will cost lots of dosh to maintain. They have no duty to do such a thing. But one supposes all the good stuff is hung on tightly too. But not this 30% share of a huge stinking tip of hazardous waste. What do you think of that then, Richard?
So hang on, here's the question. Was this land acquired whilst it was still by the duchy, whilst it was still being used as a tip, whilst it was producing this toxic stuff?
Yes, as far as I'm aware, yes. It's been there for ages, and people have been moaning about this tip for ages. And the Environment Agency just said, well, that's up to the landowner to clear. No legal action seems to have been taken. No one's done a thing. I mean, everyone's just washing their hands of it. It's such a huge pile of CR whatever that no one wants to touch it with a barge pole. In fact, I'll tell you what the royal response is. This is what the Duchy of Lancaster wants to do. They've offered to transfer the land to Wigan Council so that the local taxpayers can foot the huge bill for tidying up the land. But here's another interesting point. This law of Rishit is not permanent. If a landowner can be located or they come forward at a later stage, then it reverts to them if they can prove the land is theirs. But as any heir, I don't know whether you know this, but if you are an heir to property, you have the right to disclaim that property for reasons like avoiding tax, like inheritance tax, not taking on management costs, or because the land is undesirable. Then I doubt even if the real heir for this 30% of rubbish tip is known, then they won't want to take it on either. And they can't be forced to take it on, which seems a bit strange to me. You know, you pass on all the good stuff down the family and they can say, no, don't want that rubbish over there. Let the locals pay for that. But I have a question here, and this is really important. I've not been able to find the answer. If the duchy clean the land up or the local council clean the land up, can the rightful heir then step in and reclaim it once it's all nice and tidy and pristine, trees everywhere, badgers living happily in there, otters in the streams and all the rest of it? Yeah. So in this country, we end up with pockets of land that are too onerous for anyone, including the Crown, to take on, leaving people close by in the proverbial SH1T. I've got an idea. Why not give it to this new commoner, the brand new commoner, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, as his new home, and leave him to clean it all up? What do you reckon there, Richard?
I mean, to be honest with you, if we had a king with any leadership or anything that even resembles leadership, then what he would do is he would pay for the cleanup, okay, and then go after the criminals, the people who are, or insist that the criminals are caught, that have done this tipping on this in this dump. That's what the right thing to do would be. That would be the right thing to do. However, King Charles has chosen not to do the right thing, or rather his estate. You know, again, it's like, it's not me, actually, it's just my estate. It's nothing to do, actually, with me. I just benefit from it if it makes money. That's what the duchy does. If it makes money, it benefits me. If it doesn't make money, it doesn't benefit me. And you plebs, you peasants, you will pay your taxes and get on with it. just to make my family incredibly wealthy. That's how it works. I'm your humble public servant. I am your servant indeed. Yeah, shut up, you absolute inbred tosspot. Carry on, Jeff.
Yeah, well, yeah, it does seem that sort of way, doesn't it? It is a distinct lack of leadership. I mean, instead of just leaving it there, it's been there since what, the middle of last year. People are living with rats around them and the stench and that fire that was going for 10 days. And everyone's just sat around looking at it thinking, oh, that's too big for us to deal with. What a country we've become. Now, Honesty Truth, thank you very much, says, don't forget the royals' wills are not for view by anyone. They do not pay inheritance tax and capital gains tax. Ridiculous for some to state only £1 per head of population for royals. Far more than that. That's how much people say it costs us. Yeah, the Crown estates do generate a lot of money, only a portion of which does go to the royals, but they do benefit greatly from it. And I just wish they'd keep their mouths shut out of politics, do the opening of bridges and all the rest of it, go on state visits and don't say anything controversial, and don't try and say anything that means that I have to pay more tax for more incomers to come in and benefit.
Yes, and they should go and live in council houses as well. Yes. Yeah. Why
Yes.
do they have to be?
Actually,
why do they need palaces? For what? Now, I know you can say there's ceremonial, blah, 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 blah. This is part of, people love the pomp and ceremony. We don't need this royal family for pomp and ceremony. We can have another one. We can actually find another royal family if we wanted one. But
the royal family of Jeff and Richard.
Absolutely. No, that means you and I have to actually start having family. It's not going to work, Jeff. Not going to work.
No.
Yeah.
It goes
like... Yeah. No. But it goes like this, ladies and gentlemen. Look, it's very, very simple, okay? We can have a royal family. There are absolutely so many lineages, incidentally, which are probably more legitimate. We know of one that's, funny enough, living in Australia, which is a truer, legitimate claim to the throne of the King of England. And that is a fact, by the way. That is a fact. There's plenty of information out there on that. So, I mean, why are we putting up what for tradition? What, because it brings a few tourists in here? In the meantime, our entire society and structure is falling apart. Oh, but we've got to have money for, tourists are keeping us afloat. I'm sorry, the tourism industry right now is going through a bit of a hard time because there's so many places like in Ireland, hotels these days tend not to be filled with tourists. They tend to be filled with a different kind of person, actually. And beautiful tourist hotspots where people used to come from all over the world to see. Now, they're not so nice anymore because there's no hotels to stay in and the streets all of a sudden aren't so pretty. I keep going on about Oxford, and I will keep banging on about it. Oxford was a beautiful place to go and visit. And, it was the place where the intelligentsia went to study. And it was oh my gosh, Oxford was beautiful, a wonderful place. Now you go there, and it's like, where am I? Which country am I in? It's gone. It's finished. It's over. So all those things we thought were the great appeal to Britain. I mean, I'm speaking to people who are abroad right now, and they say to me, we have friends. They visited London. They went to England recently. They don't recognise it as Britain. It's gone. Your country's finished. We will not be returning for a holiday until you sort this out, if you can ever sort this out. Meanwhile, His Majesty sits there in his palace, and it's like, oh, okay, yes, well, welcome in, coming in. There's no borders between us and France. Coming into Britain, enjoy yourself. My subjects will pay for you. Don't worry. My subjects will pay their taxes so that you can stay in nice hotels, that you can have all these different freebies. And welcome to the country, you and your families, all the women and children. Oh, wait, there aren't any women and children. Well, anyway, you gentlemen, you are the future. You're working hard. You're going to work hard and slot into society, aren't you? Oh, no, you're not. Okay. Well, there we go. Whatever, Jeff.
Yeah, you're right. And He is not much of a figurehead for this country, really, is he? He wants the ship to be steering in a completely different direction to where the rest of us want it to go, and he's busily going to the land of unicorns, and everybody is the same, and we all can live happily together forever and ever and ever. There's no religion out there that wants to conquer the world and kill people and all that. Nah, that doesn't exist. No, he needs to. I would say to him, get out a bit. But he's been around the world, hasn't he? And he's seen all this. I reckon he's been shielded from it. I reckon his advisors, only show him the good side. Only show him the nice people. Don't let him see any of that over there. You know.
It sounds like Buddha. I mean, that's what happened with Buddha. Buddha spent the early years of his life shielded from. He wasn't allowed to see anyone who was old, even, I believe. And he wasn't allowed to see death or decay. Everything was, and it seems that very much that way for King Charles. I mean, he must go around thinking the world smells of paint, fresh paint. That's
Yes.
well, that's yeah. That's. I mean, how disconnected are these people? Are the elites, our royalty, and the aristocracy? How disconnected are they from the average person in this country? And yet, in times gone by, you see, Jeff, we had this conversation earlier. In times gone by, people would be very impressed with the royal visit because the monotony of their lives was broken up by such an event. Like, oh, look, the king's coming. Oh, yeah. They'd forget. And they probably didn't know the dynamics and the infrastructure which held them in servitude, which actually was from the monarch, probably, and through the feudal system. That this was what was holding them in servitude. And, and they were like, oh, it was a highlight. But as time's gone on, and the internet, incidentally, the age of information, in particular the internet, once that came along, people started questioning things a little more and going, hang on, we don't need this. This is actually, Stockhausen syndrome, whatever it's called. These are our captors. These are the people who are totally enslaving us. These are the people that preside over such great injustice in this country. I want to ask you something, right? If tomorrow you had a vote, okay, and hypothetically there was no royal family at all, and all of a sudden this Mountbatten Windsor family, whatever they are, just appeared and said, oh, here we are, this is what we stand for, this is what we believe in, will you vote for us? Will you say, yes, we'll have you? I mean, here's our record, our family history, and this is what we've done in the past. Would you say, oh, yes, please? Oh, yeah, we love this. Oh, woke. Oh, you're woke. Oh, fantastic. Yes, we'll definitely vote for you then. I don't think so. Jeff?
No, I tend to agree with that. In fact, the trouble is, like all politicians, they just lie. They just lie. Here's my CV. Here's my history. Here's my manifesto. It's all lies. Don't worry about it. In the end, we have all the money. We have all the palaces. You don't. So, yeah. And thank you to Brute Life. Our country used to be beautiful. Now we have sewage everywhere, land, sea, fresh water and air. My heart weeps for my ancestral homeland. Disgusting. Now, a lot of this, this sort of sewage problems and all the rest of it comes from what I've read from this rewilding thing. We must let nature take its course. The trouble is that when nature takes its course, it doesn't always benefit us. So we don't do any dredging. We don't do any management. We don't do any fire breaks and stuff like that, because that's bad. Burning wood is bad, even though you save a whole forest by burning a small percentage of it and cutting them down and leaving fire breaks. No, you can't do that. It's not natural. The hedgehogs can't get from one end to the other hidden, all this sort of thing. So, I sometimes wonder, you got to be honest, you go back to the sort of Adam and Eve principle, don't you? Man was put here to tend the planet and tend the place a bit, not just let it run riot. So anyway, that's just a thought.
Well, there's a lot of things that, there's a lot of interpretations. I don't know which is the true one on Adam being a gardener. I have looked into, he had more of a ceremonial role. It wasn't. He wasn't. I don't think he was exactly given, a garden fork and a pair of secateurs. It wasn't quite like that, which is the way that we're meant to believe that Adam was. I don't think it was quite like that. Sorry, the Daztec here. Swansea syndrome. Yeah, I know you love Swansea. That's quite funny. Yeah, well done. Okay. All right. And sorry, Grizzle Guts as well. Favourite Floyd album, Piper at the Gates of Dawn. And then everything that Sid Barrett ever did. There we go. Sorry, slight deviation. Carry on, Jeff. Carry on, mate.
We were talking about that earlier on, that very subject about music and other things, and we won't go into that now. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. They've been dumping raw sewage into rivers and beaches for over 12 years, voted for in secrecy by your local MPs. Now, a lot of this is because our sewage works were designed to cater, or are designed to cater, for a certain number of people.
Exactly.
When we have more than that certain number of people in this country, unknown to everybody, then suddenly the sewage works get overflowing and they have to let this out. There's only a set amount of raw sewage the system can hold. Any more than that, and it has to be released. Now, just think about that. We didn't used to have these problems, but we now have got them. And I think it's more down to population numbers than most people realise. Yeah. Dreadful man and dreadful family, says Nils Salmquist. Yes. So, yeah, and he's a hypocrite. Yeah, to a certain point, yes, definitely. As we were saying, they acquired the system acquired that property. If it had been pristine land, they'd have snapped it up, wouldn't they? This is ours, this is mine. But surely they should be made to take the good with the bad. And how about another way of doing it, of course, would be to say to some landowner or to someone who wants to take the land on, we'll pay for it to be, you can pay to have it all done, but then you can use the land how you want. At least it'll be tidied up, wouldn't it? I mean, many people wouldn't like it. They'd end up, they say, oh, we don't like the blocks of flats you put up there. We want the rubbish tip back. But yeah, so it's just something has to change on this escheat law thing. Otherwise, this will happen more and more. Can you imagine in about, 20 years' time when all those wind turbines start falling apart all over the place and people saying, oh, I don't want that land because I'd have to clean up all those rusty old nasty wind farms that no longer work. Yeah. Bet the king doesn't wash his hands, says Aldo.
No, he has someone to do that
I
for him,
don't
probably.
know. Oh, yeah, that's very true. Yes. Someone will do it for him. Yeah, someone
And
else
wash a
does
few other things as
everything
well.
for him. Yeah, don't go there, Richard. Just don't go there, Richard.
Why not? Why not?
Yes, and as SP says, there's very conveniently a legal loophole allowing the king to avoid responsibility. His responsibility is to take on the land when it becomes, when it's not wanted by other people, or, I mean, that's why the duchies were created. Otherwise, you end up with land that no one owns and no one can go into or whatever, or it gets used for things that it shouldn't be used for. So, which is what's happened in this case. If it's their duty to take on such land, then they should have the duty to clear it up as well. That should all be factored in.
But why can't this land go to councils and to local authorities? Why can't it go direct to them?
Richard, that's what the king wants to do. But
In
the
this
local
case,
taxpayers... Yes, in this case, yes.
In this case,
because,
but not in general.
Yeah, but even then, at the end of the day, there does have to be a landowner of last resort. And that's what the duchies are. As I said, landowners of last resort. If a Martian came down and was given some land and then they died with no one else, no other Martians, then that land has to revert to something, and that's what the landowner of last resort is there for.
still think
Not saying that
local
Martians
authorities.
own the land, of course.
I think local authorities could make better use of them. But then again, also, I will play devil's advocate here. When you see the way that certain local authorities spend their money, all of a sudden you start going, okay, maybe not. But at the same time, well, there is a certain level of injustice. And the problem we have is that local authorities, we vote idiots into local authorities. I mean, people moan about, oh gosh, but life here is not so good. The council, this, we have the potholes, etc. You voted for the buggers. Come on, you voted for them.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I mean, here's a question, though. We've noticed that potholes seems to be getting more and more of an issue. I was by Abergavenny today, and I noticed the potholes in the road there were absolutely astronomical. And people were complaining online about, the amount of times that tyres are popping and wheels are getting bust, and the local authorities not paying out. Apparently, I don't know if they are or not, or they are very rarely they're paying out. But people are complaining about all these things, that there's no money for this, that, and the other. Well, that's because not solely because, but one of the reasons is, aside from vanity projects and general waste within councils, also there is a big cost to put certain persons up and accommodate them within areas and regions, and that is it's a very real cost. The money doesn't just appear out of nowhere. Now, the socialist, communist way of looking at this would be, but what we can do is we just tax the rich, just tax people more, because it's all down to the rich own certain percent of the wealth in this country, the top 1% and all this. And, for a long time I've looked at this and go, yeah, there are some incredibly disproportionately wealthy people. However, isn't it funny that when people on the left do tend to go for taxing the rich, they never go for those rich people. When they do go for increased taxes, it's usually from a little bit further down the food chain. They never go for the real wealth, ever. That's ring fence. That is. Like, okay, I'm not saying we should be taxing everyone left, right, and Chelsea, but in fact, I'm not particularly somebody who believes in tax per se, and that's another story. That's another story for another day.
Yeah.
There we go. Over to you, Jeff.
Yes, a scrappy dappy-doo says that they get money from the seabed. Yes, they do. The seabed belongs to the Crown Estate, so every time you put a wind farm out there within the 200-mile limit, whatever it is, was it a 12-mile limit? I'm not quite sure. One of them, they get all the money. Or they get all the money. They get a lot of money for it, so that it's in their interest. It's in their interest to have lots of wind farms out in the sea. If you get my drift. Yeah. So, and I like this one from UK Dub. Stinking piece of hazardous waste. Sounds like the UK under Labour. Well, there you go. Yes. I like John Johnson's comment about, I don't know what went on in the Royal Greenhouse. I'll leave you to read that one yourself.
Oh. Well, there are a few things I could say, but no,
John Baxter thinks, how do we get rid of the Crown and their poxy government but still maintain a civil society? I'm not sure we can. I'm not sure we can do anything, get rid of anything now and change anything. Everything is so complicated, isn't it? Everything from the tax to land to employment, to health and safety, everything is absolutely covered in a confetti, in a thick ream of laws and counter laws and loopholes and all the rest of it. This is a lawyer's country. It's for the lawyers. It's not for ordinary people, I can assure you.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but we just need to start really looking at this quite seriously. We had a conversation yesterday, Jeff, about maybe instead of looking at new political parties, we need to find somebody who's able to put together a new civil service, a new deep state infrastructure. They've got their deep state. Well, let's start our own deep state, damn it. Let's have our own version of the deep state. And I'm not joking. We should start thinking, okay, well, so if everything just switched over tomorrow, if we got rid of the civil service as they currently are, what would we replace it with? Well, I think it'd be a good idea if we started thinking about that issue right now. I mean, we're talking about Advance getting in, if they get in, or whoever. But what I want to know is there anybody out there who is prepared to do what needs to be done. You know, it's like the civil service itself, okay? We had this conversation. You said, these people will fight to hold on to their jobs. They will fight for this, that, and the other. Thinking, we didn't vote for them. They can be sacked. They can be, we can fire them. Why can't we fire those people? Why not? For what reason? Oh, they got legal protection. Whoa. No. If Parliament is sovereign, then that's how it works, okay? The decisions should be made at the top. Right now, we've got this hideous, infrastructure which is filled with nepotism. It is filled with corruption and sycophants to the crown. And that's all they want. This is the sickest, this sort of thing worked to hold a cohesive society going back maybe around the time of the Norman conquest. And that's what we've been stuck with since, that kind of feudal system. But, come on, times have moved on a little bit. Jeff?
Yes, they have moved on a bit. Humpty Dumpty said it's time to strip the royals of our wealth and our property and our land and become a republic. Yeah, the only problem with that, of course, is that someone has to own all this public land, and it ends up being controlled by someone. So it doesn't just sit there on its own. It has to be managed. You have to, and we end up with someone in charge, and it will always end up being some crony of someone else. So handing out contracts for use of the land, this sort of thing. All
legitimised by the crown. All these contracts, legal system.
No, but if the crown's gone, Richard, the crown's gone in this scenario, then it becomes. But then you've got a president. President Blair.
Not necessarily.
Maybe,
I know you keep saying about President Blair, but I don't care. I don't care about these people. No, we don't have President Blair. We don't have President Cameron. We don't vote for them. We don't allow these people anywhere near our society. People in Britain need to stop. I think they are waking up now, Jeff. And I think it's time that they actually stood up. Because enough is a bloody enough. How much more can the British people take? We're looking at this, we've got King Charles telling us all to go green, and pushing this net zero, which makes people poor. Yet he is wealthy beyond imagination, not prepared to clean up his own shit, literally.
Yeah.
And you think, okay, enough. We've had enough. At some point, you're going to start seeing the cracks really appearing in society, when you're going to start seeing people just saying, right, okay, I'm done with this. I'm done. I'm not going to pay my taxes. I'm not going to obey the law. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't pay their taxes and that they shouldn't obey the law. Of course, these are things that you should do, which is always legal and good and right to do. But I can see the time when people will simply refuse to do this. And that time is getting closer and closer. I mean, right now, it can't be hammered home hard enough. And I have to say, yesterday with Reform, when Suella Braverman came over to Reform, we saw the veterans there, and it was good, as you mentioned to me before, Jeff, that they didn't start with Suella Braverman. They started with the veterans. I thought, okay, that was a good idea. Okay, don't let Suella overshadow the fact that our veterans in this country have been treated like dirt. Absolute dirt. Expected to sleep on concrete pillows, and yet that is fine. Pay your tax. Obey the law. Accept this as the status quo. If you think anything less, if you get angry and that some people can just walk into this country, break in illegally, if you think that's wrong, then you're racist and you should be arrested. And if you speak out against it, that's hate speech. What? Disgusting. This country is a joke. And slowly and surely, people are starting to think, I can't take this anymore. And I wonder whose side His Majesty will come down on when those cracks really start to appear. Would he even remain in this country with his family?
Yeah.
Or would he rule from abroad? Jeff?
Yes, now, it's funny you should talk about the veterans and how they've been treated. Here's an interesting snippet on Crowborough from a former soldier who spent time in the military camp there, a camp that has been cleaned up and converted for the use of illegal immigrants. Oh, and if you haven't caught it yet, I did do a live stream from there, from Crowborough on Sunday. Anyway, here's what Andy Dye said on X about the Crowborough military camp. Just put this up for you. As a serving soldier, I spent several weeks on a junior NCO's course at Crowborough. It was not refurbished for us. We had to clean it. We were confined to camp so as not to impact on the local community. Illegal economic migrants should not be treated better than British soldiers.
Hear, hear.
And I thought, yeah, and being former military, I spent 26 years in the military, having spent time myself in training establishments across the country, from the mid-1970s onwards, my experience was much the same. Although I can't list Crowborough as one of my salubrious venues that I attended. But in general, yeah, that was the case. You made do with what you got, you tidied it up, and you generally left it better than when you got there. And that was the sort of thing. And soldiers get on with it. It just beggars belief that they don't get anything like the amount of money spent per person on them that the illegals do. So there you go. Just thought you'd be interested in that little snippet of information.
It's totally unjust, isn't it? It's absolutely sickening.
Yes. Now, one of the things is that King Charles won't like people sort of pointing this rubbish tip out and how it's being dealt with, that he wants to palm it off to the local council to get rid of the cost. Because you've got to remember, the duchies are there to provide the royals with income, not to help the rest of us out. Although they will claim that, oh, we do loads for charity, blah, 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 and all the rest of it. What they want you to do is see things like this. Now, here we have the Princess Royal. So, the royal family. The Princess Royal attended a candle lighting ceremony for peace this week at St Giles Cathedral. Her Royal Highness joined senior representatives of Scotland's faith communities and civic life in a moment of shared commitment to peace and social cohesion. So they want you to look at this sort of thing, and you can see that in the St Giles Cathedral, you got people from all different faiths there. Yeah, all allowed in to do their thing. So, yeah, that's all about cohesiveness and, we're all come together and be cuddly. And it's all very nice, isn't it?
It's anti-Christian.
Yeah.
That is completely anti-Christian, Jeff. Sorry. There's no other way to look at it. It's saying that this bloody nonsense, right? This bloody nonsense of cultural and religious relativism, okay? So that says, oh, they're all paths to heaven. That's like Princess Anne saying, look, just to keep you all happy, we'll just all come together. It's like, okay, so you don't stand for Christianity then, because under Christianity, you have a choice. You either accept Christ or eternity doesn't look very good for you whatsoever. And we are talking about eternity. Now, some of us have pressed against eternity and felt the weight of eternity against them. And it's a terrifying thing. You know, that at that point in your life where when eventually your heart stops, are you ready for what comes next? Are you certain? Oh, well, we all just end up in the same place. Are you certain? Because that's not what Christianity says. That's not what our cultural heritage says. I'm sorry. That's whether you agree with that or not, that's the way it is. But Princess Anne there, by doing that, has quite clearly taken a side against the tenets of Christianity, or the beliefs, I should say, the beliefs of Christianity, the core belief that Christ is the way. You know, Christ said, I am the way, the truth, and, that the life, and that's it. Nothing else, nobody else. The only way to get to heaven is to go to the Father is through the Son. That's what the Bible says. Oh, that's a load of rubbish then, is it, Your Majesty? Well, it must be, because your actions are actually suggesting that. Either that or you just don't care. So what do you actually believe in? To what's it, Her Royal Highness or Her Majesty or whatever she is, Princess Anne. What do you believe in then? Yeah. Strange. Jeff, carry on.
Yeah, I don't know much about St Giles Cathedral. Have to look that up, see which denomination it is. Is it Church of Scotland? I don't know. So does that make a difference? Don't know. So, yes. One of the things, when I was driving to and from Crowborough on Sunday, the potholes were ginormous. As Richard said, when you got to spend lots and lots of money on other things. Do you remember, I don't know if you know this, the government, didn't they give councils some huge fund, about 5 billion quid or something, to deal with all the potholes last year? I can't remember if that's right, but I think they gave councils huge amounts of money, a big dollop of money to deal with potholes. Doesn't seem to have been spent on potholes. Doesn't seem to have been spent on that at all.
No.
Anyway.
And comment here. Sorry, just 2 seconds, Jeff. Kenzie 2022 N4E. No, I'm not missing the bigger picture. That's a very good point, actually. I wonder. Ooh, could they actually be Satanists? No, I couldn't possibly be true. No. I mean, okay, all right. So some people have said that a close affiliate of King Charles, Mr. Jimmy Savile, one of his victims, said that during what they went through with him, it was part of a satanic ritual. And there are many reports of satanic rituals taking place in this country with the elites. And I can actually confirm that to be true. Yeah, I know of such things that do go on. We have received emails, incidentally, from some of the victims of this. And when you read through their emails, you go, oh, okay. Just a conspiracy theorist and nutter. No, actually, we don't think that, because some of these people are so eloquent, the details are just too, either that or God. Oh, a bit of a vivid imagination there. Why would you make that? Why'd you make that stuff up? Why would you? There's something very sinister taking place. We've heard about these networks. That's all been brushed under the carpet, like in Westminster, a network of Savile types, we'll say. Oh, that's just got brushed under the carpet. Let's not, don't, shh, hushy. Mustn't talk about that one. No. Sorry, Jeff. Carry on, mate.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Brute Life. I see a lot of similarities between the Pharisees and our current modern-day elites. Woe to them. Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. Yeah, we are falling into a bit of a pit at the moment, aren't we? And anybody who doesn't think we are should look around themselves. I know we've been, generally there is a pit out there all the time, but this pit is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, just like that ruddy, great, stinking pile of rubbish in near Wigan. It's exactly the same. It's just a carbuncle, and all this is just getting worse all the time. So, yeah. Also, the King is going to be coming across as really cuddly now and very eco-friendly, because there's a new... Let me just see if I get this. Yes, there's a Amazon MGM Studios. We are nature ourselves. We are part of it, not apart from it. Learn about His Majesty the King's lifelong commitment to the environment in a new documentary from Prime Video and the King's Foundation.
Just a second,
Finding
Jeff.
Harmony, a King's Vision, arriving to Prime Video on the 6th of February.
Yeah, that, incidentally, we are nature ourselves. We are part of it, not apart from it. If that is what the King himself has said, then that is completely, totally anti-Christ in nature. That is totally against what we are taught in Scripture. We were made from dust. Hang on. No. God breathed life into us. The Spirit was breathed into us as humans. So, sorry, that is a very, very... I'm seeing a lot of this coming from, believe it or not, from within the Anglican Church these days. It's almost becoming pagan. Yes. And that's a very, very paganistic kind of attitude to have. We are nature ourselves. Oh, good grief. Okay, yeah, whatever. Carry on, Jeff.
Yeah, so they put out a little trailer to give you a sort of an idea of where this is going. So what I'll do is I'll just do that, and we'll just play this.
I have dedicated much of my life to the restoration of harmony between humanity, nature, and the environment. Quite frankly, it has been an uphill struggle.
We did become disconnected from the world that we inhabit. And once you become disconnected, you don't think it's your responsibility.
Then along comes the Prince of Wales and says, well, actually, that's not right.
That was when he started this experiment.
The King's Foundation is participating in a landmark documentary chronicling His Majesty's commitment to the concept of harmony.
We are nature ourselves. We are a part of it, not apart from it.
He was there at the beginning, saying the truth, and ultimately the world could see that he was right.
He upset a lot of people in authority, but His Majesty was speaking for a lot of us who just felt like we want to look at things differently.
It's not your real future. It's not your children's future. But it is.
We must put nature back at the heart of the equation.
No.
He has been
No.
involved with the environment and nature for 50 plus years. And people have tried to push him off it.
Our children and grandchildren will ask not what our generation said, but what he
No,
did.
your grandchildren ask what happened
His
to my
Majesty
grandmother
united so
in
many
a car
different
crash.
people
That's what they'll
because
be
the only
asking.
path forward is together.
We can shout from the mountain, let us safeguard nature, but then people still have to live. You still have to support those communities, and that is what the state of harmony brings together.
He is the still point in the turning world when it comes to nature.
I think we need to follow harmony if we're going to ensure that this planet can support so many. It's unlike it as anywhere else.
Yeah. Okay, so how about you start with that little bit of a tip that's on your land or on the Duchy's land there, Your Majesty. What a load of nonsense. Honestly. Yeah. Oh, for goodness sake.
I mean, as soon as he got hold of that land, he should have been pushing for it to be cleaned up somehow, shouldn't he? If that's how he feels about these things.
Exactly.
But there again, you see, as I said at the beginning, there's loads of rats there. Are they part of this harmony?
Yeah.
Thank you, Unreal Sentinum. I went to an Orthodox church, but there were no seats. We stood. It was beautiful, and you could feel the vibe, but different from other churches. Yes, that's exactly why I attend an Orthodox church. It's brilliant. And you do stand. And a lot of people are quite surprised by that. The only time you sit is if you're, it's not like you have to stand there until you keel over. If you feel ill or if you need to sit down, you sit down. It's not a problem. There's chairs there. You can actually sit down. But if you can stand, you should stand, except for when the priest gives their sort of sermon, their homily. Then you sit for that, and then you stand up again and continue with the service. And it's good exercise. It's good for you to stand. It's good for you to stand on your own 2 feet.
Yeah, speaking of
and
exercise,
stand before
Jeff,
God.
Yeah, speaking of exercise, before this live stream started, I was so angry about the subject matter we were talking about because the hypocrisy, as we've just seen, this is a king who's like just built himself up to be this incredible environmentalist, yet we've already stated what he's done there. He's just totally uninterested in this toxic dump on his own land. Or on the Duchy's land, because of course there's a distinction between the two. And actually, as your king, I am actually on legal solid ground. I've been given good advice. And he is actually legally sound. We're not saying he's done a criminal act, no. But this is about morals. And
yes,
that's what this comes down to, Jeff. So I'm just rambling on in a stream of consciousness here. But anyway, yeah, I was so angry about this earlier. I was doing because I've started shadow boxing again. Yeah, that's right. I had the headphones on. I was listening to the Pogues Battle March medley, and I was listening to the Levelers, and I tell you what, I actually felt a hormone racing through my body for the first time in a while. And I tell you, honestly, this whole thing, we need exercise. Yes, we need exercise. We need to start getting ourselves fit because things are changing in this country, and the men of this country in particular need to start getting fit. fighting fit. Not to fight, of course, but just fighting fit.
Oh,
It's a term. It's an expression, a turn of phrase. So yeah.
Yes. Now, you notice that Richard was talking about shadow boxing as a well-known kung fu expert would say, shadows don't fight back.
What film was that? What film was that? Was that Enter the Dragon? Was it something like that? Was
It's
it
something like that, yeah.
I'm a big Bruce Lee fan as well. Yeah, he was great. Yes, I used to do a lot of martial arts.
I just love
back
those
years
films.
ago.
Bring them
Hang
back.
on.
Maybe that's what
hang
I
on.
say.
Yeah, Match UK 94. Richard doing a Rocky 4 montage would break the internet. Don't tempt me. Don't tempt me. As soon as I'm ready, I'll tell you one of the things I'm going to be doing. As soon as I'm well enough, I'm going to be up and down Pen y Fan on a daily basis, climbing up, and I'll try to do it daily. And I'll be doing like I used to do. I'll be doing about 100 press-ups on my knuckles up there in the gravel, in the dirt. Come on, men. We used to do it. Now it's like you can put these nice mitts on your hand. And it's like you've got these things that you do press-ups on. They're like these bar things. You put them on the floor and it's like, what? You know, back when if my knuckles weren't bleeding, I'd think there was something wrong. I thought, I'd be thinking, my goodness, I need to bloody well step my game up here. And that's what people used to do. I used to train in my parents' garage. There was a tyre, all right? And the tyre is an old tyre on a wall, car tyre. And I couldn't have a punch bag, so I used to punch the tyre. And I keep punching it. Unfortunately, there was a metal hook holding it on. Now, sometimes I used to miss and punch the metal hook, which was not fun. But, hey, back in the day, that's the kind of thing we did as kids. All right, I did anyway. There we go. But maybe it was just a lot of this probably was the Rocky 4 montage training scene inspiration. But, you know, I'm a child of the 80s at the end of the day. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, we'll all get fit. Actually, we'll start our own fitness regime, won't we? So that we can show the people how to do it.
Yeah, there you go. That's a start, Jeff.
All right. Yep. Now, another bit of cuddly stuff that was in the press today about the royal family was the Princess of Wales was showing children in a trauma centre how to listen to the sea by putting a shell to their ear, and they made much of this. I mean, isn't this wonderful? All over, it's great that they go to these places and are there with these children. We don't need to make such a big thing about it, do we? Really? It was on the front page of the Telegraph on the online version. But the hard, expensive yards of helping a small local community to get rid of their blight of a huge waste dump full of rats on their doorstep seems to be beyond them, doesn't it? Yes.
Yeah, well, one
So
thing's
there
for
you
branding.
go. And I've had enough of the royal family.
Image. Yeah, it's all about the brand
We've
image.
talked too much about the royal family, Richard. We've just talked too much about them because there's a very important by-election in the offing. The seat of Gorton and Denton in Greater Manchester that was vacated by Andrew Gwynn in the hope that it would provide a vehicle to get the Mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham, into Westminster to unseat Keir Starmer, because a lot of Labour people aren't very happy with Keir Starmer. He's not left-wing enough for them, or he's not doing what they want him to do. But that particular plot failed when his bid to stand was rejected by the Starmerites in some or other committee. Now, the by-election will be held on the 26th of February, and GB News presenter Matt Goodwin has already been selected to stand for Reform UK.
And I'm standing for Reform UK in the Gorton and Denton parliamentary by-election. This is a referendum on Keir Starmer. If you want Keir Starmer gone, if you want this Labour government gone, vote Reform UK, vote for me, Matt Goodwin. I don't know about you, I'm sick and tired of what has happened to our once great country. Mass uncontrolled immigration, broken borders, surging energy prices, the cost of living, the highest tax burden for decades. I've had enough of it. You've had enough of it. Let's work together here and make history by bringing down Keir Starmer and pushing this country in a different direction. Vote Matt Goodwin. Vote Reform UK. Let's make history together.
So there you have it. Now, as you heard, Reform UK is touting this as a referendum on Keir Starmer's performance. But I don't see it that way, because as ever, the local Islamic vote is looking like it will be getting together with the Marxists in the form of the Green Party to become the main opposition to Reform UK. It's going to be a battle between the Green Party and Reform UK. The Green Party will be helped by the Muslim vote, as it were, which is it's their right to do it, and the muslimvote.co.uk is a website, I think, pushing this, this idea that they need to help Green Party to beat Reform UK. And I think this will be the sectarian flavour of the UK politics to come. I think we're going to see a lot more of this, and as the general election approaches, we could well see it being toe-to-toe, Green Party and Reform UK. And what it'll come down to is patriots against the open borders people who want to completely change this country. Because the Green Party want to completely change this country. The Islamic vote wants to completely change this country into where they left. They came here for safety from what was an SH1T hole. Yes? Now they want to take us to a place where they came from, sort of thing. And Labour and the Tories are finished for at least a generation, if not for good. So, it will come down to the patriots to get out in strength and vote. But what worries me is that it's always the left that mobilise better than the centre-right. Always.
Well, look who's going for the position, potentially, for in that by-election. Zach Polanski, I've heard, is going to be potentially standing in that by-election. And he is the figurehead right now of the left, the electable left. I mean, he's caught the imagination of the left, which is like, okay, fine. That's what you want. That's what you get. You get this, what do they call him? The tit whisperer, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The girls will all vote for him. Yeah.
Yeah, because of his, apparently, allegedly, in the past, he was a hypnotherapist or a hypnotist who used to make people say that women, I should say women, no, not persons, no, because you can't say women, no. Well, women, that their chests could grow. He could hypnotize them into having larger chests. And, yeah, so that's who will be standing. Here's the crazy thing, though. We spoke about this a few times, Jeff, is that Reform has been doing very well. We know that, blah, 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 blah. But the Greens have also been starting to gain momentum. And here's the question. Has Reform maxed out completely and it's only downhill from here? Or is this just a start for Reform? I don't know. I personally think it's more than maxed out now. And yeah, everyone knows my views on Reform anyway. But I do think that we might have seen peak Reform. Maybe not. And to be honest with you, if an election's coming up, if there's a snap election tomorrow, I'll be all behind Reform. Not that it's my first party of choice, far from it, but the game will then be just literally everybody out to stop either the Green Party getting in with a majority, which I don't think that'll happen, but at least a coalition of the left. And that'll be a priority for everyone, that will. And fingers crossed it won't come to that, and Advance UK will continue to go from strength to strength and start pulling in, that Rupert Lowe will come across and things will change there in terms of the fortunes of the party. Not that the fortunes are bad for Advance UK at the moment, because they're not. I mean, it's grown quite substantially. However, the fortunes could change far more for the better with the right backing, with the right push and momentum by the people of this country. If you want Reform to win, still join Advance UK, support them, because we had this conversation. You know, Jeff, I mean, we're doing like hypothetical scenarios, and please, ladies and gentlemen, these are hypothetical scenarios. But what if, because we have seen a slight change, I hate to say it, just a slight change for the positive within reform. Yes, Nadine Zahawi and all these Tories coming across is not a positive thing. However, what is positive is seeing less of Mohammed Zia Youssef in the party. And if this is going to be our next government, I'd like to see less of him, period. That's it. I'm not a fan of his for many reasons. And no, they're not Islamophobic or racist. There are many reasons why I'm not a fan of Mohammed Zia Youssef. But I think that, yeah, there could be one or two good signs. They're still not going to be Advance UK, though. It's one of those things. It's just one of those things. You've got to say, you just got to admit that in a snap election, Advance don't stand a chance. Okay? Nobody does except Reform. And it'll be everyone having to get behind that. And as much as it would pain everybody, it would pain me. Do you think, after some of the things that Farage has said about Tommy, about us lot, the way that they view us, the appointment to the party is basically a hollowed out Tory party. The Tory party's been hollowed out, and now they're taking, the creme de la creme of the Tory party, which to me is not good enough. This is the situation we face. We have to be realists as well. So I'm sorry, a lot of you are saying, "Oh, I'm never voting. I'd never vote. I'd never push or support Reform." And I think, okay, here's a question. I'll put this into the comment section here, okay? And this is serious. Just say, because it would, I think, unfortunately, if there's a snap election, it would be a binary choice. Would you vote Reform? Yes, to vote Reform, even though you're not particularly enamoured with Farage or the system, but you would vote yes to keep Labour out for another term, or a coalition of the left run by the Greens, just keeping them out. Would you vote Reform? Yes or no? Or would you say, I'm not voting Reform no matter what, even if we had another 20 years of Starmer and the Greens? And I have to say, I admire those people. Yes, mostly yes this year, but I have to admire the people who say no, because that is courage of their conviction towards what they actually believe in. And it's interesting, few people saying no, mostly yes, but it's such a difficult position. It's a hideous position to be put in, isn't it? It's hideous, because at the end of the day, do you think Reform are real change? I don't. I think the best we can hope for with Reform would be an incremental improvement, just a slight improvement, no meaningful improvement. But yeah, so many buts. Anyway, again, yes, reluctantly.
Katie Lowe says yes, reluctantly. So that's the sort of thing. I think that it's hold your nose and do this now. I've heard nothing about Advance UK putting a candidate forward for this by-election, although I still think it's very early days for them, and there is a big policy and first annual meeting on the 7th of February in London that is probably soaking up all of their time. Now, one point about Matt Goodwin and the announcement, interestingly, it fell to Lee Anderson to make that announcement. Not Farage, not Tice, and not Youssef. No, Lee Anderson made that announcement. Take that how you want to see it, as far as I'm concerned. But I just thought that everything else, Nigel Farage has had a big hand in. He's got another GB News presenter. I don't know.
Yeah, so just going through the comments here, Jeff, a lot of people, it's quite mixed. I'd say broadly, it's more weighted towards yes, they would, under duress, vote Reform.
Yeah.
But as I said, I totally respect the opinions of those, not just opinions, the perspective of those people saying no. Because there are many reasons not to vote Reform, and it's like continuity. With a slight improvement, maybe we'll have better free speech. But then again, you have to look at freedom of speech rights were not afforded to members of Reform if they supported the United Kingdom movement. You know, and I believe Howard Cox was a victim of this as well. So, yeah, but we have to have these conversations, people. This is important. Personally, I think that if Starmer was to get back in, or a coalition of the left, I don't think they would allow elections in the future. I really don't. I think that would be it. I think they would take, because a coalition of the far left, we'll be back in Europe for a start, in the EU, I should say. We'll be back in the EU before you know it. And this country there would be ferries put on, flooding this country with people from elsewhere.
Yes, they would take that if you voted for a coalition of the left, they would take that as a mandate to go hard left. We're already hard left. We've got taxes going through the roof. At the moment, I've got a sneaking suspicion that Rachel Reeves is going to be the fool person for all of this. She is hiking the taxes so that in the future, by 2029, the election, you'll suddenly find inflation dropping. You'll suddenly find they've got room for tax, to lower a bit of tax here and there. We're on the mend. We're doing the right thing. But they'll have to get rid of Rachel Reeves with a new chancellor coming in to say, look what I'm doing. This is the new Labour way and all the rest of it. I think they're taxing us to death at the moment to try and generate some sort of good feeling in a year or two's time. You just watch what happens. That's where I think we're going with that. The trouble is, though, that energy costs are still going up. Yeah,
good comment here, GKSC. Farage has backpedaled on everything already, pandering to anyone who will vote for him. I am that lot, FK Farage. Yeah, I totally understand that. Yeah, and I feel exactly the same. Yeah, it's what's the saying? You're caught between the devil and the deep blue sea, and that's what a snap election would be. Right now, a snap election would be devastating for this country and could usher in either more continuity. But I don't know. As I said, we've seen some positive signs within Reform. But again, these positive signs, will they amount to anything other than just, that was a little flash in the pan? And before you know it, we're just back to... I mean, Farage himself has said that he would be more left-wing than the Tory party currently is. Quite funny, though. The people who were, let's just say, speaking out in the Tory party as being quite right-wing in Farage's perspective, he is now welcomed into Reform. So are you going to see the complete dilution of Robert Jenrick and Suella Braverman's rhetoric? I very much expect we will. Unless, of course, something changes. Look, at the end of the day, I want to be the one who... I keep saying it and I'll repeat it. I want to be proven wrong about Farage. I want to look stupid. I want to look like the stupidest political commentator, idiot, whatever the hell I am on this planet. I just want to look like, why, you could have knackered the whole thing up by supporting Advance. I'm like, I'm sorry about that. I'd rather be eating humble pie and saying sorry. I want to be proven wrong, but yeah. Yeah, I don't think so.
Yes. No, it's... the whole country's in a mess, and it's not being helped by our head of state or head of government. So they're both in lockstep of taking us down the wrong route totally, and we're being railroaded. Absolutely, Earthstick, we are being railroaded, and it's not going to get any better with the current lot in charge. But mostly, we must remember that it's a lot to do with the civil service, the hierarchy in the police, the hierarchy in the armed forces, the hierarchy in just about everything, especially in the education system. That's the most important to them. If they control the education of your youngsters from the age of 5 up, it's over. And they do control the education. That's why we're where we are, because they've been feeding the right people through with the right reports, get the right jobs in the right places. So, yeah, we need to start dismantling all of that. Anyway, there you go. But there is hope. There is hope. and just keep soldiering on and keep voting your way out of this. Do not vote for the old parties. Do not vote for the Greens. Do not vote for the Lib Dems. They were all part and parcel of this. They were all voting for it. And the only time they voted against anything was when they knew the right people in mass, i.e. in Labour, were going to vote for everything. So they could just sort of pretend to vote against a few things. But they're all on the same page. They're all on the same page, including a lot in the Tory party. They're all on the same page. So there you go. So we got to get rid of them.
Sorry, Jeff,
anyway,
Richard. Just keep going. No,
Sorry,
just a second. You can keep going a bit longer a second. I've just got something to tell people in a second. Keep going there, please.
All right, okay.
Keep going.
Here we go. Look, Christine Prescott says, I'm 58. You don't look 58. And I've never seen it like this. Even the 70s was better. There you are. Yeah. They are all the same careerists. Definitely. Yeah. And this is something that Ben Habib keeps saying. No one ever voted for this. We never voted for it. We were told we were going to have it. We were going to have our noses rubbed in diversity for our benefit. But it's not for our benefit. It's for their virtue signalling benefit and for everybody else's on the planet's benefit, but not ours. And this goes for most of Europe and America and Canada and New Zealand and Australia. It's happening across the board. All the rich countries have to pay for everybody else because it's all your fault for being rich. Yeah, strange that, isn't it?
So,
and then they're
Jeff,
saying that all the other countries are so wonderful because they're not rich. Weird, isn't it?
Yes.
You know.
Well, this is, sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but just as we were about to end this, there is some very important news, and that is the Prince, formerly known as Prince Andrew, the chap formerly known, what's his name, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, apparently he is still the Duke of York. This is in the Daily Mail. Royal expert claims, and his tarnished title could help pave the way for a flashy retirement in the Middle East. You know, and I'm sorry, yes, I know it's royalty stuff again. I find this quite fascinating. You know, I'm turning into Dan Wootton, you know. I think I have to do a bit more of this. But no, it just goes to show, okay, so if he does sort of hold on, if he is still technically the Duke of York, I don't know the truth of this, it's just something in the Mail, but if he still is the Duke of York, and if he does have a lovely little retirement and future in the Middle East, I think, okay, well, that's the way it goes, isn't it? These are our betters. These are our overlords. We mustn't question them. You know, we mustn't question them for one moment, Jeff. And
no, definitely not. No.
Tip our hats to.
Anyway, you know, at the end of the day, I mean, where would the general public of the UK prefer Andrew Mountbatten Windsor to be? Here or in the Middle East somewhere? Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway. Right, so, ladies and gentlemen, please, thank you very much for watching today's show. Please press the like button. And most of you watching this show, apparently, according to the sources within the technicality things in the background of YouTube, apparently most of you, like 80% of you watching this at least, are not subscribed to this channel. You rotters, you rotten people, you. Now you can make amends and we will forgive you if you press the subscribe button. And yes, subscribe to the channel. Click the all option. You must click the all option that way you get a notification each time we do a new video. And please, if you really like what we do, just join the channel. It helps us to keep the channel going for the same price of a pint of beer, if not less than a pint of beer in a London pub, or a cream tea in some spa somewhere that you can afford to go to, which I can't afford to go to, but yeah, same price. And yeah, there's a join button, press it and join and become channel members. And thank you all very much for watching the Jeff Taylor channel today, and we will see you again tomorrow at our usual time, possibly at 5:45. But however, there might be again, we've been looking at changing the times for a few different reasons. We've been asked if we can change. Some people say, can you do it this time? Some people say, can you do it that time? It's like, oh, for goodness sake, we can't make everyone happy. But there's a slight chance we might do it later at 6:45. We've tried 4:45. It's about trying to get this all right, because people say, oh, we missed you. You went too early, or you went too late because somebody else was live. I'm like, can't do anything about that. We can only turn up when we turn up. And that's why the important thing is to click the all option when you subscribe, and then you'll know when we're going to do something or when we started live streaming. It might be a bit later, might be a bit earlier, but check around 5:45 or before to see if anything's coming up. Keep checking throughout the day, though. We're doing stuff all the time. And usually at least one thing goes out on either a live stream or a video. And sometimes the videos are slightly chopped up versions of the live streams because it's just smaller bite-sized chunks for people to watch. And that's why we do what we do. And we have our sister channel as well, Tripe and Whatnot. Tripe and Whatnot. Whatnot being one word. Where we do very similar sort of stuff, just shorter videos. Much shorter. And we put stuff up on there, and we're going to start doing that a bit more regularly. So, anyway, love you all. Over to you, Jeff.
Yes, and thank you so much for watching and engaging with us. And that's a really important part of building some sort of community, which is what we're trying to do. Like-minded people talking about these things, finding out about how people think, and maybe changing minds occasionally about various parts of what goes on in this country.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Which is
I
really
pulled up yesterday
so,
about people said, why are you doing stuff on celebrities and the royals? It's like, because that is what's been thrown in our face on the press. That is what we are told is important. This needs to be reframed. I want us to do more celebrity stuff, but not in the way you think, I'm not going to watch celebrity crap. No. Ladies and gentlemen, no. It's not going to be like that. Trust me. No. This is about the reframing of what's actually going on. I think you'll find it quite interesting, our take on things. And we did this years ago, Jeff, many years ago, with an online newspaper. And people need to know that when you're looking at stuff, worshipping the royals, what's happening with Meghan, Harry, Kate and all that, it's all nonsense. It's all distraction from the real issues. And that's important, to have that reframed in your minds. And it goes out to an audience out there as well that probably wouldn't understand this. Probably don't think. We need to wake people up. This is part of waking people up in this world. It's got to be done. Anyway, love you all. Over to you, Jeff.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So, as I said, it's part of us. Maybe we change a few minds, maybe not. Maybe you can change our minds a bit. Who knows? Anyway, on that note, I'll say that it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him. The living legend that is Mr. Jeff Taylor. Goodbye.